I can happily. Okay. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna actually pin myself before I forget, just to make sure that goes back to its working self. But I gotta go back to gallery so I can see myself. Not see myself, see you
Yourself
guys.
only works for your own view. It doesn't work for anybody else's. Everybody has to individually pin.
Oh man. Okay. I was hoping I could just pin. We've always tried figuring that has always been a struggle.
Well, I've got you pinned on my end.
I wonder if there's
And
a
when I go to watch the videos back, I know that's what I see. So,
okay.
if you guys at home don't see Jillian pinned, you can click on her.
If you like hover over my screen, you'll see in
Mhm.
the top right corner three little dots. They're in the blue background. You click on that and it should show the options. It should show view profile, chat, and or pin. And if you click on the pin, it should pin me. It should be how it goes. So, hope that works for everybody. We've always been trying to figure out how to make that work for everyone. It's a setup that's just not always our easiest thing. But so, anyways, what we're going to do for tonight is we're going to work on our time signs. And the way with time is it may seem like a lot, but it's really not. And I like to think that with time it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of common sense in it that like conceptually it just clicks most of the time. Let me see. Okay, I want to make a chat. You are totally fine if you cannot see us. That is not a problem. We're flexible. It's already being recorded, so they will have access to that as well. Okay. Sorry, I just was looking, I pull up my chat. I always have a chat in the side so I can see when you guys are messaging me or messaging everyone. So I was looking and I was just having to make sure I addressed it. What we're going to do first for our time is we are going to do the do the signs for the days of the week. Okay. Just because I think those are like your most basic ones to touch on. And then we're going to start doing the second, minute, hour, week, month, year. Okay. So the nice thing with the time signs, goodness, I keep saying that, the days of the week is from about Monday through Saturday. It's going to be pretty much the same thing, just a slight change for every single one. Okay. Then Sunday has its own little special thing that we will look at. So we are going to start with Monday just so we can go through all the similar patterns. All right. So for Monday, what you're going to do is you're going to make an M. You're going to turn it so like your back of your hand is facing out. All right. And then you're going to go in a circular motion. Monday. Monday. Okay. Monday. Then for Tuesday, you're going to make a T, turn it again, and go in a circular motion. Tuesday. Okay. Wednesday is going to be that similar base. So W, turn it and circle. Wednesday. Okay. For Thursday, what you typically are going to do is you're going to make that H/U kind of shape. So it's the H, but it's not fully sideways. You kind of have it more up like that U. And then you're going to do the same motion Thursday. Thursday. Okay. And then Friday, the F. So remember that. And then you turn Friday. Okay. And then for our last one, Saturday, last one of this Saturday, it's just the S. Turn and circular motion. Now, before anybody asks, because I get this question every time, how can you tell the difference between things like Saturday versus Tuesday versus Monday? In person, it's a lot easier to identify what letter is being signed compared to versus Zoom. Zoom can be a bit challenging because it's just like you don't have the best like closeness like in person to see it. But usually you can tell because with the Monday, those three fingers are going to be up and your pinky is going to be noticeably down. Okay. Tuesday, it's going to be where your thumb is basically between, it's not basically, it is. It's between your pointer finger and the rest of your fingers. And then for Saturday, the way I rest my Saturday, my like S, is my thumb is a little bit near the end of my finger. And you may even can hide it if you want. So there's like no fingers showing. So that's how you can usually tell your Saturday. Okay. And so the more you pay attention to like the back of like how your hand is showing that shape, the more you'll notice that you can kind of catch the letters a bit faster. Like I said, in person is a lot better. You can see it more. So that is Monday through Saturday. Then we're going to have Sunday. Sunday has two options. All right. The first one is you're going to have two kind of slightly, not like full wide fives, but they're kind of slightly together. And you're going to go in a circular motion Sunday, Sunday. My teacher, when she was teaching me the signs for the days of the week, she said, wax on, wax off. That's all I heard. Every time I do Sunday like this, all I hear is wax on, wax off from the Karate Kid. That is like ingrained in my head. And I'm like, okay, I don't know why that makes such a big deal, but it does. So Sunday, the other option is with your dominant hand, you go across and you pat your shoulder Sunday. Sunday. Okay. So those are your two options. It's going towards the center and out. So you go up and out, up and out, going out. I'm not sure if I'm describing that correctly. It's just, yeah. So it's like you're coming together and then going up and out. Yeah, up and out. Okay, good. Sunday. Okay. Now let's go back through our Monday through Sunday. So we had Monday. And you don't have to do the emphasis of showing your fingers and turning. You can just naturally start Monday. I did that so you saw what I was doing. That's just for everybody's. So Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then Sunday. Sunday or Sunday. And you can choose whichever one for the Sunday that you prefer. It's very much up to you. It's not like one's better or the other. They're very much the same. I'm trying to angle myself. The sun is hitting right in this weird corner, and it does this every time. I get a nice setup, and then the sun decides it's going to change its setting, and I'm like, wait, okay, you can see me, but my hand's covering. It's every time, especially when we have daylight savings time, which I know is not here yet, I promise, but like that always messes with it. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the parts of time, not of a time, of time. Okay. First time we're going to do is just the basic one. It's just the sign for time itself. And so you just go time. You tap on your wrist. Now, I'm very aware I am not tapping my watch. Like if y'all were here earlier with the interesting story of the fact that I'm a lefty who puts her watch on her left wrist. Most of y'all, if y'all are normal, unlike me, your watch should be here if you have a watch on your non-dominant wrist. So you would tap your watch. I get called out on this a lot because I always do this. I never do this. And that's just a comfort thing. I'm just used to using my left hand for everything. So I mean, even my students will call out. They will look at me and they'll be like, "But your watch is there." And I say, I know, I'm still talking about time. Focus on the time, not what I'm doing. So time. Okay. Now for second, there are two ways you can sign it. One of them is finger spelling. And all you would do is go SEC. That's literally it, is SEC, seconds. The other one is going to be a very subtle sign. So it's important you watch how I shape it and set up. You're going to have your non-dominant sideways like this. Your dominant is going to be in the pointer finger. Okay. The way you're going to have it is like this. I'm going to turn mine sideways so you see what I'm doing with my finger. So you're going to have that look. And you're going to slightly, very little, move your finger back and forth. Second. Now, what's interesting with this is that I'm saying hearing, my brain's not trying to get. Typically, with hearing people, we do tend to say 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Give me 5 seconds, that sort of thing. I've noticed as I've been around and signing all the time, we tend to say minutes. We tend to talk about minutes. 1 minute. Give me 5 minutes. 1 minute. Or like that instead of the seconds. It's not as common because I remember thinking, well, how am I going to sign second? Like, do 1 second, 1 second. Like, but I've noticed that minute is what's used more often. So that's an interesting little fact, at least I think. Okay. The next one is minute. Minute also has two ways to do it. The first one is you're going to have both your fingers and pointer fingers. Your non-dominant is going to touch the base of your dominant, okay? And you go minute, 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 minute. And so this one you can use as saying how much time is left, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. And what's really cool with this is you can add your number to it. So this is 1 minute, 1 minute. But if you wanted to say there's 5 minutes left, you can do 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay. Or if I have to leave, I'm leaving in 5 minutes, that sort of thing. Okay. Now, if it's a big number and you're trying to say, I'm trying to think, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, you can, I was having to visually. So for like 20 minutes, you can just sign 20 and then go minute, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay. All right. The other way you do minute is we're going to set up like we did our seconds like this. And again, like I said, y'all are going to be this way. I'm showing you what I'm doing. Minute is minute. It's bigger. Minute, minute. Okay, minute, minute. I do tend to see this one more often, those 2 minutes, 3 minutes sort of deal. Now, that being said, I also work with children where we always say 5 minutes until next class, 5 minutes, that kind of thing. So I do think that is also just a socially, like I'm used to seeing this more than anything. But you can do 5 minutes, I see I'm naturally wanting to do this anyways. 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay. All right. We're going to do hour, and then after that, we will go back. Okay. So now for hour, what you're going to do is you're going to have that same setup. All right. This time, what your pointer finger is going to do is it's going to go in a full circle. And I typically have mine going away from me, like it's going towards the person. Hour, 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 hour. And again, you can add your number to this finger. So if you're saying you have 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, so 2 hours. Okay. So if you're saying 5 hours, 5 hours, 5 hours, 5 hours. I think it's really cool that you can just add your numbers like that, especially when you have things like, well, I got about 2 hours, I got about 3 hours, the kind of more common numbers that you would see, you can just add to it. Instead of having to go 3 hours, you can just do 3 hours. That smooth motion kind of deal. All right. So let's go back to our second. We had this set up again, and we had second, second, second. Very small, very tiny. Second. Second. Then we also had where I said you just finger spell it second, second, second. That one is an odd one to go because of that SEC, like that EC gets very odd shaped. That's why I'm having to try to slow it down because if you just do like this fast, they're gonna know what you're saying, but like you want to make sure you're still spelling it right. So we had our seconds, then our minutes. We had minute, 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 and then minute, 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 minute. Okay. Then our hour, 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 hour. So the visual for this, because I realized I did not explain it, is that if you think about it, this is your minutes hand on a watch. Okay, I think about an old analog watch. And that minute hand has to go all the way around to count for an hour. That's where it is. This is like your face of your watch. And that minute is that slight movement. It's going slightly, not, the second's even less, but the minute, it's moving at a time compared to an hour that goes a full circle. Okay? All right. The next one we have is day. So day has a lot of variations to it depending on what you're saying. All day, every day, today, now, and then just another form of day itself. So we're going to look at those. They're not too complicated. There's just a few changes to them, okay? So you're going to set up with your non-dominant arm going across. Your hand can be flat or it can be a fist. Either way, I've caught myself flipping back and forth. It's whatever's comfortable, okay? Your dominant is going to be in this pointer finger kind of position with your elbow on top of your non-dominant. So fist or flat, either way, okay? And you're going to bring your pointer finger down. Day, okay? Day, day, all right? Sometimes what I use, this is more that C, I think we've talked about signing exact English. I'll come back to it, is adding that D to it to help think day, day. So it's still similar in that sense, but sometimes that helps like think, okay, day. And that is like the sun is going all the way down. The sun has already came up. It is now going down. The day is done. Day. Okay? If you, excuse me, wanted to say all day, you're gonna have that same setup, but now instead of having that closed fist, you just have an open hand. All day. All day. You took all of it. It took all of the day. All day. All day. Okay? All right. Now, for today and now, they have very similar signs. They is what it's going to be is it's going to be one change in difference to separate them. So the sign for we'll do today. So today is you're going to have two Y's. You're going to point them up, like face them up, and you're going to bounce them today. And you want to make sure you bounce them at least twice. You can do it a few times. There's no specific amount of how many times you have to bounce them. Someone did ask me that a couple of classes ago. Does it have to be specific how many times? Not really. Sometimes I'll catch myself doing it 2 times. Sometimes I'll just keep bouncing like today, 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 today kind of deal. So it's really just what feels right at that moment. But at least 2 times, okay, today. For now, you're gonna have the same setup like this, but one time. Now, now, now. I think about what this one is that's in the moment. When you're talking about now, you were talking about what's happening right this second. It is now. It's not today or later. It's instant, right here, now, now. Okay? Then we have, what else I say? I said now, I said day, all day, today, now. There was one other I thought I added. Every day. Okay, that was the one. So for every day, you're going to do is you're going to have a thumbs up and you are going to come down from the corner kind of near your ear and slide your thumb down your jaw. Okay? And important what you do is when you do this, you repeat it every day. Because you're talking about it is daily. It happens every day. This is also the sign for daily. Every day and daily are they synonyms, so they have the same sign. Okay? That is another thing you'll notice with ASL is a lot of times words that are I don't know the fancy word for that are synonyms of each other. I was trying to say synonymous and I was like, I don't think that's the word. My English was like, I don't know. I'm just making up words. But if they're the same or they have the same meaning, they tend to have the same sign because the meaning is the important part of that. Okay? So you'll catch that as we go through. So every day and daily is going to be the same. Okay? All right. Let's go back through our day signs. So we had day, day. Then we had all day, the open hand, all day, all day.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we had today, today,
Hey, Mr. Bear.
today. And then we had now, now, now. Okay, now. And then I love how I just finalized that. Like, no, we just did every day. Goodness, every day and daily is not coming in my vocabulary right now. And then every day, every day. Okay. And it is important you do repeat this. This one you want to repeat because one time is a different sign. So every day. Okay. So now we're going to go on to week, month, and year. I clump them together because then we're going to talk about how you would say last week, last month, next month, last year, the next year in a different little group of itself. Okay. So the sign for week is you're going to have your non-dominant palm up. Your dominant's in that pointer finger again. You're going to start at the base of your palm. Okay. You're going to have it laying flat and you're going to slide it across. Week. Okay. Week. Week. And this one again is another one where you can add, excuse me, I said, I think I might have mentioned this. I don't talk often during school because I'm signing all day. So when I have to talk a lot, I'm like, okay, wait, I need water, my voice. Like it takes a minute to get used to it again. So, but what I was going to say with week is you can add the numbers. So 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, that sort of thing. So you can add the numbers to that one as well. When you start to have this shaking like 10 weeks doesn't really work. So that's when you would do the 10 and slide across. 10 weeks. Okay. All right. The next one we have is month. Month is probably one of the more complicated setup for sign through Zoom. So we're going to take this step by step together. You're going to start with 2 pointer fingers. Your dominant, you're going to have turned sideways and back. All right. And you're going to take your dominant finger and you're going to slide it behind your non-dominant and slide it down. Month. Month. You should not be feeling any sort of hit of your fingers. It should be the back. Month. Month. Okay? Month. Month. All right? And again, you can add 3 months, 4 months. Okay? Month. All right. Then our next one is going to be year. Years, you're going to start with 2 S's. You're going to have your dominant on top. And you're going to go year. Full circle around your non-dominant. Year. Year. And you do tend to want to go forward with this one because we are going forward in time. Year. Year. Okay. This one you can go 2 years. You can show with the number 2 years. 2 years. You can do that. There's a shorter way, and I'll show you in a minute that one. But so 2 years, year. Okay. Let's do those 3 again. So we had week, palm up, slide your finger across, week, week. Goodness, I cannot talk. Week. Then we had month. I'm doing the setup again because like I said, sometimes this one gets so many people and it's just because it's so hard to set it up. I feel like I finally got a process, a step-by-step. Y'all should have seen the very beginning classes because people were like, I feel like we were doing little dancing fingers with our hands because we could not get our shapes together. So I'm very glad I finally am like, okay, this works. So month and then year, year, year. Okay. So one of the important things to note while working with time and any sort of relation with anything happening past, present, or future. What's really cool with ASL is instead of adding and changing words and signs because of the present or the time of it, for example, saying done, like well, I was trying to think. Cook and cooked. She cooked yesterday. She will cook tomorrow. She is cooking. She cooks tonight. That's concept. The sign itself for cook does not change. for all three of them. Okay? You add things to the signs in order to emphasize what time it happened. If it's in the past, present, or past, present, or future. Okay? Time in the sense of talking about next week, last week is the exact same thing. It's going to follow the exact same pattern. I always like to say, think about being on a timeline, all right? Anything that happens in the past is behind us, all right? We're moving ahead. It's in the back, all right? Anything that's present is going to be right here with us. And then anything that's in the future is going to come in front of us. It's going to be ahead of us, all right? And it is very important you keep that visual and that mindset because that's going to help you with signing. So, when talking about the sign for next week, what you're going to do is you're going to set up just like next week, just like week, sorry. All right, you're going to slide across and then you're going to kind of make like a C and go in the front. Next week. Next week. It's like slide across and make a like I'm making like a C, like I'm bringing it in front of me. Next week. Next week. Okay? Next week. All right. And again, you still can add that number to it, 2 weeks. I'll see you in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. All right. You can add that next week, 2 weeks. Okay. So notice how we came in the front. Then for last week, you're going to have that same setup as our week again, slide it across, but now you're going to tilt and point behind you. Last week. Last week. That was in the past. That happened in the back. Last week. Last week. Ooh, 2 weeks ago. Happened 2 weeks ago. Okay. All right. Then for month. Okay. So we're going to have our similar setup again for next month. Okay. Actually, you know what? We're going to pause next month. We're going to do last month first. Next month is a harder one to do, and I've seen a much easier way to do it. And so I want to show you all that one as well. I think that one will help, especially with the process. But so for last month, what you do is you're going to slide down and then come back. Last month, last month, last month. So you slide and it's almost like you're making a U with your pointer finger. Slide and come out. Last month, last month, last month, last month. Okay. Next month, well, I don't want to say it's the old way because it is still the way that others use, but I've seen a much better one. So I'm going to show you both. The first one I'm going to show you is kind of the other one, the one I typically do. So you set up, you slide down, and then you're going to have your finger go out and up. Next month, next month, next month. Okay, next month, next month. That one is just sometimes an awkward one to do because you're having to go, it's like you're just making a weird circle shape around your finger and your hand. So what some people do, and that I've started catching myself doing as well because it makes more sense, excuse me, is I go next month, next month, next. So it's like I have a bent hand and I just bring it forward next month, next month, next month, next month. Okay? Either way works. Either way will get your point across. This one's just sometimes an awkward one to do. So next month, next month. Okay. All right. For year, next year, last year. There are a couple different ways to do it. I'm going to show you the more basic way, and then I'm going to give you kind of, I like to give exposure on signs that may be more natural or a little more complex, but they're still the same meaning. Okay. So for next year, what you're going to do is you're going to start with your fists and you don't have to go full circle, which is great. All you do is you tap your dominant on top and then you go next year, next year, next year, next year. So it's going, you tap and go forward. Next year, next year, next year. Next year. Okay. Then for last year, similar concept. Last year, last year, last year, last year. So bounce the fist and go back. Last year. Okay. So the way that people do is for next year. Sometimes they'll do it the sign for yearly, which it's basically you bounce and flick multiple times. Yearly, yearly, yearly. It's like boop, boop. It happens every year, yearly. Okay. So they may go next year, next year. Instead of next year, it's next year, next year, next year. Okay. Last year will be, they use last year. So your dominant fist is now up, it does not tap, and you just bounce your finger back. Last year. Last year. Happened last year. Or 2 years ago. That sort of thing. Which is always interesting because this looks like 13. This looks like can be 12. But whenever doing like 12 years ago, it goes like 12 years. Like they do the 12 years ago. Because that gets confusing. But this is like 2 years ago. Happened 2 years ago. 3 years ago. 4 years ago. That sort of thing. I think it's interesting that sometimes that change between going that fancy last year to last year. It's that smoother way of doing it. Okay. So we're going to go back to our next week, last week, next month, last month, next year, last year. And then what was I going to do? There's something else I saw. We're going to talk about how you would sign the months of the year. It's not that complicated, I promise. And then I was thinking if I missed anything. I think yesterday, today, or we already did today. Yesterday and tomorrow. Those are the ones I forgot with day. I knew I was going to forget something. So we have our next week. Next week. Next week. Okay. Next week. We had last week. Last week. Last week. Last week. We had last month. Let's do last month. Last month. Last month. Last month. So again, slide. Yep. Last month. Last month. And then next month, the next month, next month, or next month. Next month. Okay, next month. Okay, I know that one. This one is more, this one is more complex. Like I said, if this one kind of makes that sense of not like that logic of this, that, do that, this one just sometimes is a little bit easier to sign. Okay, next month. Then we have next year, next year, next year. And then last year, last year, last year, last year. Okay. All right. Now, what did I say we were going to? I know what I said we were going to do. Okay. For the months of the year. The way months of the year works is very simple. Goodness, watch. Okay. You finger spell the first few letters of the month. So January is just Jan. January. January. And then February, Feb. February. February. Feb. Okay. Then March, MAR. This one, sometimes for March, April, May, June, July. March, yeah, okay. I had to think about it for a second for myself because I even caught myself doing it. Typically for March through July, you finger spell the whole thing because it's so short. So MARCH. Okay. March. All right. April, APRIL. Okay. And then May, MAY. May. What's really cool, as you probably, when you start to fingerspell more and practice, is you'll notice that fluid motion, which I'm trying to remember if we talked about we talked about names. As you notice, you probably have seen with how I sign. Sometimes when I'm signing too fast, it looks like one smooth motion, that fluidness. May, Gillian, that sort of thing. What ends up is happening is that finger spelling becomes not where it's just Gillian. It's almost getting its own smooth sign. Jillian. Jillian. I like to think about when we're reading, and if you're reading the names or you're reading a word, we don't look at every letter. I don't know if y'all know that, but we don't look at every letter. Our brain just naturally fills in everything we see and we'll catch it. And so finger spelling does the exact same thing. And so when you see movement like that, your fingers are going to naturally, as long as you practice and keep going with it, are going to naturally do a smooth motion and add to them. That makes it a bit smoother and you still will catch it. So like January, January. I'm not sitting here going Jan. I'm going January, January. And it's because that's already naturally the J and the A is already there and then the N. January, January. It takes practice. This one is not the kind of thing where you can just naturally get it always, because it takes a lot of getting used to that smooth motion of your fingers, making sure you get every letter. January, February, February, February. February's a mess, okay? You got the fingers up here and then you got the E coming down and then the right goes back up to a B. February, February, February. Okay? I know it's fast. I'm just showing you what happens. My favorite is with May because being my last name, I do May so fast like that. It's a mess. Sometimes I have to catch myself. I'm like, hold on, May, May, because people will think with how I do it too fast. I've had students who will think my last name is Mary, and I'm like, where was the R? There was no R there. There was no. It was May, and they're like, I don't know. And I said, Mary, May. And they're like, oh, like the month. I'm like, yes. So, months of the year is a good one to practice because you just do the few letters. Like June, July, August is AUG. September is SEPT. So you do come back with that T. SEPT. All right. And then October, OCT. October, October. And then November, November, November. And so, like, if you notice with November, which I think is cool, you're having that N and it just quickly comes to O. No, 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 no. So November, November. There's not too much movement with that. November. And then December, DEC, DEC. See, again, it's the SEC. Your C may end up looking like this. It's okay. I know it's not a perfect C, but when you do this DEC, like December, SEC for seconds, your C naturally will kind of come up like this because you have that E that's already in that it's like, it's hard to do that shape, SC. It's better to, your fingers just naturally want to like emphasize that's a C. C, DEC. December, December, December. Do not stress on the letters because again, I feel like some are like, oh, I get this. This is cool. And some are like, that's a lot of fast movements happening just right now. And that one is one of those. It's totally fine if you go literally DEC. That's totally fine. That will work. Okay. Our last two, I believe that I have. No, I lied. We have morning and night. Sorry, I did lie. We're gonna do is tomorrow, yesterday, morning, night, and then I'm gonna show you good and bad, so you can tell someone good morning or good night, or bad morning or bad night. Okay. So for tomorrow, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have a thumbs up. You're gonna start with your thumb in the corner of your mouth, and you're gonna go forward. Tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. Okay? For yesterday, there are two ways you can do it. One is more ASL, one is more C, that's signing exact English. Okay? So the first one is going to have that same thumb again, kind of that thumbs up again, corner of your mouth once more. And now you're going to bring it back to your ear. Yesterday, 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 yesterday. Okay? yesterday. The other way you can do it, where it is a bit more C, is you have a Y. Yesterday. But you follow the exact same. Yesterday. Yesterday. I am notorious for doing this one. Yesterday. Don't know why, but that one just, it's a little more natural to me. Yesterday. Okay? So daily is you're sliding down your jaw constantly forward, and it's coming forward every time. So it's like you start up here and bring it down. Whereas yesterday is it's one time, you bring it all the way to the back. Yesterday, you bring it back to your ear. So daily, yesterday. Okay. All right. Our next one is going to be morning. So for morning, you're going to have your dominant hand, palm up. You're going to have it kind of in front of you like this. Your non-dominant hand is going to go right like on your bicep, like right before the joint. And then you're going to bring your hand up. Morning. Morning. Okay? Morning. Visualize the sun is coming up. You are pulling the sun up with you. Well, it's morning. Morning. Okay? Then for night, night is very simple. Your non-dominant is a fist. Your dominant hand is going to cup it. And you just kind of have it, you naturally have it here in front of you close like this, and you just go night, night, night. Okay? It is important you don't pull it towards yourself. That is a different word. It's not a bad word. It's English. So if you're trying to say good night to someone and you pull it towards yourself, you end up saying good English, which I could see me like, thank you. Okay, my English was good. Congrats. So night, night. You just leave it, night. Okay. Now, for good, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to have sorry, I love how I stare at both my hands. Like I have to make sure they're doing exactly what I need them to do to explain them. Both hands are palms up. You're going to put your dominant in front of your mouth like this, okay? And you're going to bring your hand right on top of your dominant hand on top of your non-dominant. Good, good, good. This is good, good. Okay, good. All right. For bad, it's going to be that same setup. So like this, but now you're going to turn your hand down. Bad, bad, bad. My visual with this to help remember is if something is good, we want it to continue. Okay, so we're not going to change what we're doing. We're doing a good thing. We're going to keep going with this. When we do a bad thing, we want to make a change. We're going to move the hand. We want to make a difference. Bad. Okay? That's just how I kind of keep that in my mind. Okay. So if you wanted to say good morning, what you would do is you'd go good morning. Okay? Good morning. Now, there is a shorter way you can do good morning, which I got busted on by Miss Katie one time. I realized I did it in a sentence, and she's like, wait a minute, that's not how you showed it to us. And I was like, well, because this is the professional, like, learning it way, the proper English grammar mindset way versus the natural conversation way. So the more natural way you sign good morning is just with one hand. You go, good morning, good morning. So you completely just take rid of your non-dominant hand and you just make the motion of good and bring up morning. Good morning. Good morning. So if you ever sign someone to someone and you're trying to tell them good morning, they probably will do this. If they're in a big audience, I do tend to notice, which I mean, I think is the exact same way when having a hearing presenter. It's whenever they say good morning, or they say, they talk more professional, they talk more polite. And so, same thing with ASL, they will go, good morning to all of y'all, good morning, compared to good morning, that simple thing. So, I just always think it's funny, those differences. Especially, I do have a funny story for this one. when I was an intern, and it was my very first day of going to a school that was for the deaf, and I was very excited, very nervous. I think I had stuff, I had all this stuff in my hands. I'm trying to remember why I had all this stuff in my hands. But so I had my backpack on, I had textbooks in my hands, and I made it a point of every time I saw anyone, I would sign good morning to them. I wanted to be polite. I wanted to also practice and get used to fully no voicing, no talking, nothing. And I remember seeing this one person. I had my hands full of books. I see this one person coming on through. And I genuinely tilted, grabbed the books, brought him close to me, and I went, good morning. Like the most awkward way possible of saying good morning because I had it drilled in my head. You must do good morning. It must be professional. And I remember, like, I genuinely remember sitting there just, and I'm watching this person. She sees me and I'm going, good morning. And she looks at me and she goes, good morning. Simple. And I smiled. And as I walked away, I went, that's another way you can sign good morning? I didn't know. I just made a fool of myself. It was the first day and I was so embarrassed. I will never forget that because I genuinely made it the most awkward good morning I think I'd ever done. And after that, I just went good morning. Textbooks in hand, good morning, good morning. Just be done with it instead of this awkward. Oh, I'll never forget that. I still work with that person. Luckily, she doesn't remember that. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because it lives rent free in my head. So that's where like that cool, nice little smooth motion kind of works, especially when your hands are full of stuff. Signing is so hard when your hands are full, and that shorthand with the one hand does tend to work. It can help, but there's a few words that you're just like, I can't. Sometimes I'll be like later, later, L, and you bounce it down later, like later on in time, later, later. Okay. So let's go back through our last four we had again. And then I'm going to open up the floor for any questions or signs that you guys are curious of. All right. So we had our tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. Then we had our yesterday, 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 or yesterday. Then we had our morning, morning, morning. And then our night, 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 night. Okay. So, any questions you guys have? I was going to say this before I forget because I know I will. The people that have requested some signs, we do have a plan in place on when we will talk about them. So I promise your questions are not getting ignored. If you have sent stuff to Miss Katie or asked any questions or any specific signs, we will get to them. We're trying to naturally kind of make it fit with the flow. So like I know some people were asking about related to like jobs and things like that. Like journalism, and we had one person also ask for makeup and that sort of thing. We're going to apply those into our job class. That way we can kind of expand on it, and that way it will hit a lot of different ticks because especially with journaling and makeup artists, those two really go hand in hand with all things related to jobs and work and things like that.
We also had another healthcare one too.
Yes.
So and we do have when we talk about animals and food, we'll talk about allergies and emergencies and things like that. Now where was I going with that? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm sorry. Sarah, did you have a question?
Yes.
Oh no, just I'm one of the healthcare people, so
Oh,
appreciate
yeah,
any of
okay.
that.
Thanks. Like, that is me. Please,
That's
please,
me.
please,
Yep.
let me have that. Yes, we will go in depth on that. And what we typically will do, because healthcare, I know it's a huge range. And I will go ahead and actually say this now, just so everyone is aware. ASL may not have a sign for every single word. Okay. And so I say this now because I don't want you to get, like, not just you in general, you specifically, but everyone getting really, really excited. If you have a really, really specific thing that you're like, I want this, like anesthesiologist, okay? Unfortunately, there is not a sign for anesthesiologist. You have two options. One is to describe it. The other one is to spell it. Now, I know anesthesiologist is a mouthful. One of the nice little tricks that I've learned as I've been having to sign for what, a decade now, is if you start to spell that word and you're in it and you start to like, I didn't even spell it right. Easy, and you can just wiggle your fingers and be like, they're going to catch on to what you're talking about, or they're going to be like, what does it relate to? And if you're like, medicine, it's a shot, blah, blah, blah. And then you go, and they will catch on. I've watched so many people do that. I thought I had to fingerspell every single letter and be exactly perfect all the time. And especially when I didn't know how to spell something, I would like really panic because I was like, oh my gosh, I need to know how to spell this. Like, look it up before I spell it to someone so I don't look like a fool. And then I watch people like my coworkers, and they'll be like, and it's these ish. They will literally go blah,
It's the
whatever.
same way you kind of skim over what you're reading.
Yeah,
You'll be like, got
exactly.
it.
So I just always think that's funny. Um, because I feel like we always get like when we're starting, it's always that strictness. And when you're a student and you're learning it, like actually like taking a year-long class, that sort of thing, they are stricter about that. But since this is more of just the basics and teaching and exposing, I like to give y'all those little hints already. So y'all are like not having to stress too much about stuff. So yeah. Any other questions or any questions in general that don't have to be related to time? They can be kind of broad. I was just putting those in because I knew some people had already sent some stuff they wanted.
Now I do
Yes.
have a question.
Hmm.
Um, Related to numbers,
Hmm.
what is like old in the sense of like how old are you?
We've not talked about that. Oh my gosh, I don't think we've ever actually talked about that. Sorry, I always get excited when there's a whole new word to put in this list because
Also,
it's never
you know that Jillian and I are not like first responders because it does not occur. We'll be like emergency, but it doesn't occur to us to ask someone their name or how old they
their
are.
age. Yeah, I like I
Where are
said,
your parents?
the number zero got left in so many classes, which I mean, it's common sense, zero, but like the fact that like it was just never even thought of to mention was, yeah, my bad. Okay, so for age, what we're gonna do is the sign for age itself, and then I'll show you the sign for old, okay? So the sign for age is age, age. It's like you're squeezing your finger, but you're bringing it, age, okay? Age. I think of this one. Think about Gandalf, think about Dumbledore, think about anybody who's got those crazy long beards. Okay. Old is going to be old. Old. You are pulling on that beard. It is so long because you are ancient. Old, 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 old. Okay. If you were to ask someone, how old are you? You would literally go, age you, age you, age you. You can do age what? Like your age what? But the simpler way is age you. What's your age? Age you. Okay. And if you were saying how old you were, I am blah, blah, blah. You would do as me, you'd go age, and then you start to sign your number. So me, age 28. Me, 28. Okay. Or me, 10. Age 10. There's not like a separate me, age 10. It's one smooth motion. Age and then the number 10. 10. Me, 100. My kids love that one. Okay. I get called 100. I get called 1,000. I get called 12. It never ends with children. And if you've worked with children or you have children, you get it. All right. The concept of age sometimes eludes them. And I personally think it's funny. So that is how you would sign for age and asking someone how old they are. Okay. When finger spelling a sentence, what is the sign for the next word? Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, it took me a minute. I had to read it out loud. My brain was not connecting it. So when you're finger spelling, if you're finger spelling two words, let's say we're gonna do Spider-Man, okay? What you would do is you literally go spider like this, you pause, and then you go man. So it's like a pause, spider, man. And there's like a slight shift. I move my hand here, to here to show that there's a separation. That's how you add like that space for your next word. So, mhm. Any other questions?
Sorry, this might be also jumping ahead. You mentioned names. I might have missed I think that might have been when I left early. Do you, for titles for names, like, hi, I'm Dr. Sand?
Mhm.
Like, is there a specific, or do you just do like DR?
So what's really fun with that, doctor does have its own. Doctor does have a special one. You guys do earn a doctor when you got a doctorate, you've earned a name sign for that or sign for that. But the Mr., Mrs., there's really not a lot of emphasis on that. ASL has it's a little bit more, I don't want to say chill. It's just got a different, it's got different environment set up like that. Like for example, my name, I don't go by Miss May. My students don't call me Miss May. They don't do anything like that. They straight up call me Gillian. They use my first name. Sometimes my more hard of hearing kids that can tell that have been in the South, they will go Miss Gillian, but they still call me by my first name. It's not common that you always see that last name kind of used. So, but when you are introducing yourself, and if you have a doctorate, you get to use this. You get to sign the sign doctor. So there are two ways you can do it. The first one is you're going to have that palm up like this, and you have that slight bent hand, and you go doctor, doctor, doctor. So this is doctor. If you're also another way with more English is that D and doctor, doctor. So you can go, hi, I'm Dr. Gillian May, or that, Dr. May. You can do that too. That is just a very professional way. But most of the time with those Mrs., Mr., Miss, you fingerspell it and it's not common. You just kind of go ahead and start fingerspelling your name. So, but doctors do get them. They do get that special treatment, and it's fair, and I see it. You worked hard for that. So, yeah. Any final questions before we go? Okay. So, next week we're going to start talking about people and families, which I think can be a lot of fun. And it shouldn't be too content heavy as much because there's not that many people. But I feel like I'm going to say that and then suddenly it's going to be 20 billion signs. So that's why I say it may not be. We are going to start getting more into our heavier content where we have just a lot of signs. So just a heads up. Do not feel overwhelmed. Do not feel stressed. You can always refer back to these videos to kind of practice. And if you miss anything, review it there. All right. And I think that is it. I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Tuesday? What in the world? I'm sorry. Before we leave, I do actually have to address this. I meant to address this and I didn't. There is another way you can sign next week. But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna just have this whole big practice for y'all to see it. It's more just exposure because I do it every class and I don't want to get called out on it because I've already gotten called out before. It is next week. So it's like complete opposite of what you guys I showed y'all. This is still next week, okay? But this is also next week. I got in a bad habit my first year of immediately doing this instead of this. But this is the more professional, basic way of doing it versus this way. But I'm just saying that because I was trying to avoid doing it and then I threw myself off because I always say next Tuesday. So I didn't want y'all to be like, wait, this lady's lying to us. I'm not. It's another way. So, anyways, I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.